everyone. Episode 13. I cannot wait. Orton-Gillingham Fellows. Let's do this.
Hi.
Hi, Candy.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Oh, I'm so excited for this. Hey, Deb.
Hello.
I am so thrilled to have this 3-chat Instagram video. Yes.
Hi, Candy.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing well, thanks.
So those of you who tune in every week, you know that my show is only 30 minutes, and I know that this is like the tip of the iceberg, but I do have to preface a few things. So, Deb, what was it, December of 2020 we did that live? Or was it, I think it was 2020.
It was, I was thinking about that this morning, and I think it was 2020.
Yes. So those of you who don't know, Deb and I met on Instagram. Obviously, I met Candy on Instagram too, but Deb and I met on Instagram January of 2020, and I just totally love the fact that there was a fellow on Instagram, and anyone who understands anything about the Academy, like for me, I was like, wait, I always think of fellows as like older and not really like on Instagram and on technology, and I just love the fact that like there was a community out there of fellows that actually wanted to put good information out there about, structured literacy. So Deb and I did our interview in December, and it was awesome, but I really wanted to have some pointed questions that I know a lot. I mean, Orton-Gillingham's a buzzword now, and I just want to make sure that you two as fellows can talk about what it is parents should look for, and, why is it the gold star standard and all of that. So those of you who are joining, thank you so much. I'm Dr. Lauren. I am in the Academy. I'm certified at the associate level. I am not a fellow, but I also want Candy to introduce herself as well, because we met on Instagram, and I don't know if people are aware of what you're doing. And Deb, I do want you to be able to share a little bit about your tutor stuff as well. So take it away and do an intro, and then I'll fire off my questions.
All right, sounds good. So my name is Candy Sellers, and I am a fellow of the Academy. I first took my first training course in 2005, right at the end of college for me, and just decided that, I was going to pursue fellow because this information is information that everyone needed and my colleagues needed. And although I had an incredible experience at university, I needed this information to be able to assist my students and learners of all ages. So I currently train individuals in the Orton-Gillingham Approach. I tutor privately, and I also use it with my own children in a homeschool setting as well. So very passionate about sharing resources and supporting my colleagues and peers and teachers and students. So I'm excited to share today and appreciate the chance to be here.
Definitely. Thank you, Candy. So Candy, where are you located? You're in the South, right?
I am. I'm in Asheville, North Carolina.
Okay. I thought I heard a little Southern twang there.
Yes, absolutely.
Love it. Deb.
Yes. So I was one of those people, it sounds like Candy had a more traditional approach going straight from college. I was one of those people who didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. And so I spent some years in corporate America, and I decided that was definitely not where I needed to be. And my passion has always been reading and literature. And I went back to school to get my teaching certificate in high school English. And one of my practicum students, as it turned out, at the time I thought she couldn't spell and she couldn't write. But of course, if we can't read, we can't spell, we can't write. So I discovered the Orton-Gillingham approach along the way, and I immediately recognized that student in, what was being shared with me about students who have reading differences. So I was supposed to be teaching the Dark Lady sonnets. I was supposed to be teaching Shakespeare, and I kind of, went off course, and I have been doing this since 2003, I think is when I started, January 2003. So I taught in a high school for a number of years, and then I went on to fellow level because I really feel passionately that this needs to be in the public school settings. All kids deserve to have a chance to read. And I ended up right at the beginning of the pandemic going into private practice. And so I spent some time tutoring. And then once I got the hang of online tutoring, remote tutoring is very different. I started training online remotely as well. So I have kiddos who I see, students who I see, who are all across the country. Actually, one's across the pond, and which is really fun for me. And I have trainees, candidates who are across the country now, which is really phenomenal.
I'm so excited. I love this. This is just so amazing. So thank you so much both for sharing your Orton-Gillingham story. I became certified in 2014, and it's just been a journey. And I know for me, being a person of color, I really didn't see a lot of me in the academy. And I know that is something we're working towards changing. But that's not why we're here. So I have my 3 questions that I want to dive right in. I did write them down because I didn't want to forget them. But I really want to direct the first question, and whomever wants to answer, or both of you guys can piggyback on each other. But I'm thinking about a parent who really doesn't, their child was either just diagnosed with dyslexia, or they know their child struggles with reading, and they're hearing buzzword, Orton-Gillingham tutor, get an Orton-Gillingham tutor, right? So what are the top 5 things that parents should be looking for in an Orton-Gillingham tutor?
Do you want to start, Deb? Okay, sure. I think that coursework and practicum are really important because I feel like it's through the in-depth coursework, the intensity of the coursework, that you're learning the structure of the language and can deliver it to diverse learners. I also feel like practicum is an important piece because for me, especially going through different levels of practicum and then now observing and supervising practicums, I see where that's really where, for lack of a better phrase, the magic happens. Right. Because that application piece is there. You get to have that immediate specific feedback from your supervisor. And I think that there's a lot of growth that happens from coursework to practicum and so on. I also think it's important to have a practitioner who does a informal assessment at the beginning, uses diagnostic and prescriptive notes to guide their instruction at each lesson, and then progress monitors throughout the time so that lesson, that instruction is really geared towards the individual. I think consistency is important, that you have a practitioner who's willing to meet at least 2 times a week, 40 to 60 minutes at a time, because we know that consistency really makes a difference. And then socially and emotionally sound, that they're providing a positive and meaningful experience for that student where they're addressing that piece where they know this student comes in with some frustrations and takes them from frustration to feeling success. So really, prescriptive tutoring with comprehensive lessons, I think is really important.
No, I love that. I'm actually writing these down because I'm going to create some posts, and obviously I will those are your words, Candy. So I just really want to have this down for parents to know.
Absolutely.
So, Deb, what can you add to that?
So, I would want for parents to know that did I cut out? Oh, no, I'm back. Okay, good.
Yeah, it was a lag. It's cool.
There was a lag. Okay. So I would want for parents to know that Orton-Gillingham, the term Orton-Gillingham, is in the public domain. Right? So anybody, and we've talked about this in the past, your Uncle Bob can go out and hang a shingle that says Orton-Gillingham trained, right? Orton-Gillingham tutor. And it's not illegal. I would say that, the problems are going to come when these children are not really taught to read. And the, parents tend to get litigious when that happens. But more importantly, children are harmed in the process. So that's why the Orton Academy was started. That's why we have the OGA, the Orton-Gillingham Academy. So I would say, your first step as a parent is to call the Orton-Gillingham Academy or go out onto the website. It's ortonacademy.org and contact the academy, and they will give you a list of local people in your area who provide Orton-Gillingham support, and they will also give you a list of online practitioners who can offer online support. So that's one. You want to make sure that you're hiring a qualified individual. But the second, there are varying levels of certification in the academy. individuals who are trained at OG classroom educator level, that's a tier 1 service. They're not supposed to be, they don't have the prescriptive diagnostic tools typically that you would find with the more intense associate and certified level. So, you know, that's not someone who would be on my list for working one-on-one with my student. I would want someone who had been trained at the associate level or above. And I would also want to make sure that if it's an associate level person, they're still being observed by a fellow. Because I don't know about you, Candy, but I look back at some of the things that I did associate. And I'm so glad that I had a fellow to consult with. And that's one of the reasons why I went on to certified and then on to fellow level, because I just needed to know more. And yes, like the coursework is great, but the real diagnostic prescriptive magic is happening in that practicum. It's all theory until you have a live body across from you.
Yeah, I absolutely remember my fellow did say that too when I was going through my observations, and I was like, what if I break them? And she's like, you're not. Like, that's what I'm hearing.
Child up.
Yeah.
Whole
She's like, you're not gonna mess the child up. So someone asked a question, are those the special educators that have 30 hours of coursework of OG? I'm assuming they're talking about the classroom educator.
The classroom educator, typically the classroom educator is for tier 1 students. So I don't recommend people, I don't take special educators, reading specialists into my classroom educator courses.
Right. Okay.
Because it's not as diagnostic or prescriptive.
Right. No, that makes sense. And I think that is a really good question, because I know in my county, there was a push for Orton-Gillingham, but I think they were using another program or another company. I'm not going to name any names. And I think a lot of the teachers were excited for it. And don't get me wrong, like, it's better than nothing, but they would probably walk around and say, oh, I'm OG certified. And it's like, but you're not. You went through the actual just hours of the content, but the practicum, as you all said, is definitely where the magic happens. Deb, is there anything else you want to talk about for the top 5 things? Because I know I have 2 other questions and we have 15 minutes.
Yep. So, I mean, I would just say that just because one Orton-Gillingham tutor doesn't work for you doesn't mean another one won't. And sometimes, we all have different personalities. We all interact with our children differently. Children are individuals. Students are individuals. And just to make sure, you should be checking in. Like the students I work with, we have a 3-month check-in. And if for whatever reason, if I don't feel like we're a good match, or the parents don't feel like we're a good match, the student doesn't feel like we're a good match, I'm going to refer them to someone else. Because this is not me, Deb Morris, coming down from the mountaintop. This is about this child needs to be able to read and needs to be able to succeed.
Right. Exactly.
And that happens that I'm fine referring people.
Same. Yep.
That's awesome.
And on that note of mentorship and continuing education, I think that's an important piece too, that we don't just complete coursework and practicum, that we continue to refine our craft and keep up with the latest research and, marry what we know works, the history, the research that we have, and then what we're also finding as well. And, even being at a fellow level, I've had the great privilege of having several mentors, and one of my mentors still does a monthly tutoring meeting, and I still go.
Wow,
and even in the even in the pandemic, she would do Zoom meetings, and it was a privilege to continue to learn from her and continue to share and that sort of thing. So I think that mentorship piece that you hit on, Deb, is so important too.
Definitely. Okay, is there anything else before I move on to question number 2?
No.
Okay.
This is great. So much information for posts. I can't wait. Okay, so why is Orton-Gillingham, why is Orton-Gillingham the gold star standard?
Deb, do you want to start this one since I did the last one?
Sure. I would say that we're the original science of reading. We are the Orton-Gillingham Academy is where the structured language, multisensory, going from the simplest to more complex, diagnostic prescriptive piece started. And I think when you look at the Orton-Gillingham Academy, there's always been that dedication to refining our craft and using the science to inform our practice. And, you know, that's why the Academy was created, so that people knew that they were contacting individuals, working with individuals who were informed and constantly had the latest science informing what they were doing. Candy?
I love that. I love
Yes.
that.
And I would just add, like, look at the history of the Academy. You have the neuroscience of Dr. Orton, so you have the science part of it. Then you have the educational expertise of Gillingham, and then her peer and partner, Bessie Stillman. So you have that educational expertise. But then if you also consider Dr. Orton's wife and colleague, Mrs. Orton, June Orton, she had a master's degree in social work. I believe it's a master's degree in social work. And she was really involved in the psychology and the social work side of it. So you have that emotionally sound piece that we're also emphasizing in our Orton principles as well. So when you think about the history of it, there's the science, there's the educational expertise, and there's the social emotional piece. So it really brings it all together, and it's really solid research-based instruction that addresses, you know, the whole individual, the whole learner. And so I think thinking of those things and reflecting on those things, and of course the giants that they influence and the giants whose shoulders we stand on, you know, there's important pieces there to consider all of those and how they work together to create who we are and what we do.
Those are fantastic answers. And honestly, for me, it's nice to hear some of that again, because it makes me feel proud to really be a part of the Academy. And, you know, my goal is to continue on. I don't know if I'll get to the level where you two are, but I know for sure Deb and I have talked about me doing certified level. And I mean, really, I'm just so proud to be a part of the Academy. I mean, there's so much greatness rooted in the Orton-Gillingham Academy, which is why I'm so excited about this live, because so many people don't know this stuff. It's like a best kept secret or something. So did you have anything you wanted to add to that before I go to the last question, either of you?
No, I think that we need to power on. I can talk about that all day.
I know.
Same.
I know. Okay, awesome. Yeah, this is just like a little bite-sized chunking edition for our parents that are on here and that are interested. Okay, so my final question, this one I know, Deb, we've talked about this, and I've heard this so much, especially during the pandemic. Curriculum. Well, my child is doing an Orton-Gillingham curriculum. Oh, well, no, they're doing this curriculum. And many times I know when parents are definitely overwhelmed and frazzled, that's not the time for me to tell them that that's a red flag, because I know that if they're coming to me with questions, it's more of like, let's just unpack what's going on. But I really want both of you as fellows to talk to, why is that a huge, whoa, that's not a good thing? Please, let's unpack that.
So, you know, I just want to say that, like, Candy and I, like, we're texting back and forth, discussing this question.
Yes, I got you guys going.
So, you know, I don't think curriculum is a dirty word. So
yeah, of course.
Because, you know, there has to be some sort of curriculum. And we just want to make sure that it's rooted in the true science of reading and multisensory science-based approaches. So, and there are certainly, I'm not gonna name names because I don't want to seem as if I'm endorsing anything or maligning anything. But, you know, I think the issue is when we talk about programs.
Right.
Programs suggest that every child will fit into this model. And we know that individuals are individuals and they need to be approached as such. Everyone learns differently. but I don't think there's necessarily an issue with curriculum. I mean, I think we need to look at the flexibility of the curriculum, and then as fellows, and I don't know if you agree with me, Candy, we need to make sure that, you know, certain pieces of the Orton-Gillingham approach are non-negotiable.
Right. 100%.
If, you know, if the focus is short vowel sounds for reading, then in CVC words, then the words that you're working on in spelling are short vowel sounds, right? In CVC words. Like, so there's that reflection. You're getting the kinesthetic that matches the visual.
Absolutely. And I think when we think about an approach, you know, it is a means to adapt and address an area of concern. And if we are thinking about an individual student or an individual learner, you know, the reason that we hesitate probably with the word curriculum there is because Orton-Gillingham is an instructional approach. It's a means to adapt to meet the individual learning needs of that student. And those instructional decisions, the point where you start instruction, the point where you review and reinforce, that is going to be designed around that individual. And I feel like that structured flexibility of the approach really allows the practitioner to diagnostically and prescriptively, you know, dive in, dig deep, find specific areas. So I think if, you know, you're kind of looking at almost different scenarios, you know, if you're looking at classrooms or that sort of thing, you know, that might be a different conversation. But I think one reason that individuals hesitate when you hear curriculum and Orton-Gillingham with individuals is because it is so individualized. It is so based on what that student needs, and it has to be flexible, where sometimes when you hear curriculum or program, it feels not as flexible.
Right.
You know, and there's an emphasis on the process, and there's an emphasis not just on a product and end product. We're looking at the process of, you know, pulling in those direct, explicit, systematic, multisensory components that, you know, work for that student, meet the needs of that student. And I agree with Deb that there's just parts that are non-negotiable. There is a systematic structure to our lesson for a reason. And so I think that may be one reason, because we want it to be so individualized.
No, I love those answers, because as you both were talking, I was thinking about my own situations in classroom settings and in tutoring. And I know that, like, for instance, in public school, there is this push for, oh, well, we have standardized testing, and, oh, well, kids need to be here at this point. And I know for me, I struggled with that with all aspects, not just with reading and writing, but like in math. If kids were not where they were this day, how can we get them here if they haven't mastered this? And I think like that was my big theme struggle in public school. But I know when I was in my specialized private schools doing Orton-Gillingham code groups, if the kids were on short A for like 2 weeks, that was okay. It wasn't like, no, they need to be on E and I, and, you know, now they need to have digraphs and blends. And it's just like, but if they don't understand just those small like CVC words, we can't move on until they've mastered it. And I just really want parents to understand, because I know there's that urgency and that anxiety of like, I need my kid to read. And it will come when you have the right practitioner, and all of the 5, or I don't know how many it was, maybe 10 different things. I'll have to summarize that, but there's so many good nuggets here that, you know, it's a journey. And, you know, that's what I push for my coaching programs. This is a dyslexia journey. It's not a quick fix. You know, it's not like, here's the intervention. I mean, I still remember a parent my first year at my private school in Atlanta, and he was like, yeah, you know, 2 years here and my kid's fixed, right? No more dyslexia. And I couldn't tell if he was joking or if he was serious. And I think the more I talked to him, he was serious. And so, you know, it's a journey, it's a process. So I really appreciate you two really talking about the difference between curriculum and program, because I know sometimes that can get a little like convoluted.
Mm-hmm. And Deb and I were talking, you know, I was in a public school classroom. I've taught in independent classrooms, and I've taught in homeschool classrooms. And, you know, my goal is, I had the great gift of having my training going into the classroom. So I had that with the training I was given in university and putting the two together, I was really able to apply Orton-Gillingham in my classroom. And so that's a passion of mine, is supporting teachers in the classroom. And so there are ways that we can do that, just taking this good research-based approach and making it happen and bringing structured literacy to all classrooms for sure.
Love that. So we are coming to the end of our episode, and I feel like this was like a lot of excellent information. There was like such great engagement. So we have a few more minutes. I don't know, Deb, did you have any final thoughts? Because I wanted to open up if anyone had any questions, but I didn't want to cut you off.
No, I mean, if people have questions, let's take questions.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, let's take the last 2 minutes. If anyone has any questions, and you have some live fellows right here that can answer them. And hopefully try to make them like kind of general, not specifically about your child. No, I'm just kidding. And if you don't have any questions right now, because maybe you're like saturated with everything that was discussed, which is understandable, I'm gonna like totally plug you guys. DM them, send them questions. Sure. If you're not following them, follow them for like excellent content. And I'm just so grateful that you two were available at this time. And maybe next time we can do one with Casey as well. Because I think that would be awesome. Because Instagram does allow 4 faces.
Great.
So I think that'll be good. Well, it doesn't look like anyone has any direct questions, but I think this was an awesome conversation.
Can I just have a last thought?
Yeah.
So the Academy's conference is coming up. So if you go to ortonacademy.org, it's going to be live in the beginning of April, but then it's on demand for 3 months, which is phenomenal.
Awesome.
And if you, you don't have to follow me to check in and get more information. So you can, just check my Instagram feed, and you don't have to follow me. I'm not there for followers. I'm just there for information.
I love it. Deb, are you presenting this year?
I am not presenting this year.
Yeah.
I am that.
I was going to say, because last year you and I presented, I was telling Candy, I was like, I cannot believe that was a year ago, because we were just like every week meeting, getting ready. Like, I'm like, wow.
That was a year ago. I know.
It was. And by the way, my brother stayed on the whole time. Thank you, Christopher, for supporting me. He said, what's next for the OG Academy? I don't even know what he means by that, but I love the engagement. What's next is, there's always something that we're working towards, right?
Absolutely.
I had a mentor who would say OG world domination. So that's what she would always say. We're working towards OG world domination. So
it's a good mission.
That's what's next. There you go.
There we go.
All right. Well, everyone, thank you so much for spending this half hour with us. And Candy and Deb, thank you so much as well. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your afternoon. And let's keep in touch.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.